Hello, everyone. This is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of *I, the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful, Rabbit Hole King, D.L. Lauren Frey, Grim Clover, and the upcoming *Jaw the Dragon. And here we are with a brand new ChiGuy video. Well, not necessarily brand new. It's like 5 days old. This is like the first video I've seen of ChiGuy since he did that ridiculous Nintendo Switch Sports review. And like the instant I saw that he made this, my interest was in immediately peaked because if you'll remember, or if you don't remember, you can go back and refer to that video. Chigai explicitly stated that he guaranteed us that he would get a lot more mileage out of Mario Strikers Battle League than he did Nintendo Switch Sports. Like this is guy really wanted you to know that Nintendo Switch Sports disappointed him because Mario Strikers Battle League was going to be better. And I full disclaimer right now, I actually do prefer Nintendo Switch Sports over Battle League. I think Switch Sports has a lot more depth to it. I think it's a lot more accessible. I think it's a lot more fun to play. I think it has a lot more variety. I think it has like more interesting features. Like I found myself just enjoying Nintendo Switch Sports more than Battle League at this stage in time, and I kind of expected that to begin with because that's the kind of game I prefer out of my sports games. But a lot of people, including this motherfucker, kind of thought the opposite. So it's kind of interesting to me that this guy is making Mario Strikers Battle League videos after like hyping it up so much. So much so that he like buried another Nintendo Switch game for really no reason, simply because he was that excited for Mario Strikers Battle League. So let's look at what he has to say, shall we?
So last week, one of my most anticipated games of the year finally released. Yeah, we got the long-awaited return of Mario Strikers Battle League. And it has received, honestly, one of the worst receptions of any Nintendo game in recent memory. I can't think of a recent Nintendo game getting this much hate. I see a lot of people that I always think are sugarcoating everything for Nintendo, trashing this game. Like, if you just search on YouTube Mario Strikers Battle League, it's not great. The user
Spawnwave and RGT, two people that I know are clickbait shills. Like RGT in particular, we've been covering a lot on this channel, but like imagine using YouTubers to back up your claim that a certain game is bad. These guys have been pushing narratives for years now. That's what their channels are entirely built on. Is like pretending that every Nintendo game is like disappointing or doesn't live up to expectations or anything like that. This is their career, right? Is pretending that Nintendo is worse than it actually is.
scores on Metacritic are in the red. It was like
The user scores on like the it's getting review bombed. Like I don't know why you're seriously pushing that as like an actual argument because like anyone who can like go on there and look at the reviews will see that like it's just a bunch of like butthurt angry spurgs angry at the game for not being like hardcore enough. It's a joke.
a 4.3 last time I checked, which is all sad to me because, like I said, I was really looking forward to this. Like many of these others, I've been playing it, so I wanted to weigh in on it myself, as well as discuss why I think specifically this game is getting some more flack compared to other games Nintendo has released that may have some similar issues. To start, there's actually a fair amount I like about Battle League, like a lot. Visually, I think the game is fantastic. Love the overall look of the characters, the arenas. The one thing about this game that is being universally praised are those gorgeous animations for like the super shots, stuff for when, the character.
Remember back when this game was first shown off and people were trying to argue that the animations weren't good. Like the narrative is always shifting when it comes to these opinions, and like you really need to keep that in mind when you're looking at these people and their like opinions of these games.
Score, win, lose, etc. Just all absolutely phenomenal. I will say it's kind of sad though when the main thing you see people praising about a game is some win animations and stuff. Like whatever I see.
Oh no! Oh no! Imagine praising a game for its graphics. Oh man! Oh man! Imagine if there was an entire demographic of gamers who who only talk about how much better looking their games are than the competition. Looking at you, steampunks.
See people on Twitter talking positively about Mario Strikers, it's typically about those animations. The gameplay at its core, I think, is great. A really good kinetic feel whenever you're passing, shooting, tackling, etc. All that stuff feels great to do. And that's kind of amplified, I think, by the gear system, which I also like. I think it's cool being able to soup up the characters, playing into their strength. My favorite was having Bowser at like the max power I could get him to and just running around bitch slapping people across the field. You hit them, they just go flying. Also, you can use this stuff in a goofy way, like, making Wario super fast. I think that's a fun way to get more variety out of the roster, which definitely needs more variety. Yeah, that's where some of the issues with this game start. Of course, this is a Nintendo sports game, so it is severely lacking in content. Yeah, probably the most obvious problem that was being discussed long before the game came out is the roster. 10 characters? I mean, it's pretty sad that you can almost have the entire lineup on the field in one game. And yes, there is a lot of uniqueness to these characters. They have their own, again, the animations and everything. Obviously, this isn't like, a FIFA game where, it's mostly stat changes. That's how they're able to have, a bazillion different players. But this is still extremely lackluster, and I don't want to say it hurts some of the positives like those animations, but I mean it does kind of make them get old.
This is this is gonna get very old. You know what I mean? Like this thing is not. This video is not gonna age well when they actually release the characters that they already confirmed are coming. You know what I mean? Like people are bitching about like the drip feed content, but it does work and it does keep people engaged and it does keep things feeling fresh. I how many characters would you want? Like it feels like I really enjoy the character roster. I have no problem with it. Like who the fuck cares like how many characters are there are like really?
Over time because, again, with the roster being so small, you're inevitably going to see some of like the super shots in that over and over again because there just aren't many characters. It's like if you had a Street Fighter game or something with 10 characters in it, they could have some really cool super animations, but you're going to see the same ones a lot. And if, like most gamers, you don't have any friends to play with, oof, man, do I feel bad for you. The only single player content, really, besides just like having a quick match, are the cups where you play a tournament essentially against other teams. Obviously, unlike, say, Mario Kart's cups with the different tracks, you're always playing on the same field, so this gets boring.
It's a soccer field. What do you fucking want? Like a baseball field? Like a football field? Like what are you what are you even talking about? Like the same field? It doesn't make any sense.
Extremely quick. It does help you buy coins, to get the different gear, which gives you a reason to play, but that doesn't make them fun to play. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot in like almost every aspect they could be doing to add to the just overall fun factor, right? Like with these stadiums, even having them change the actual fields, maybe add weather effects with some of them, like they've done in past games, would be a big help. I'd go even further with like making the stadiums have an actual effect on the field, that sort of stuff. The item offerings, similarly, I think they could add a lot more there. Like there's just, again, not much variety. Just in so many ways, feels kind of bland and plain. Which that's like the opposite of why we buy these games. Like I don't play a lot of these big sports games, your FIFA, Madden, etc. Because
Yeah, I think this is like the crux of the problem, and I think something that like no one's really talking about is that like people didn't like strikers. Well, I'm sorry, people didn't become like fanatical about strikers in particular because they were fans of soccer. They like the idea of like Mario being darker and edgier, like it's very similar to like the Thousand Year Door fan base and how like they're adamant that like games like Super Paper Mario are top tier video game stories when really they just cause a lot of problems. Like it just doesn't fit in with the Mario world very well. Like it doesn't suit the brand, and like it just when they phased it away, phased it out, and when they went back to like a more standard Mario storyline with the sequels, like people got angry about that, and I think this is what the complaints boil down to really is that like Strikers has been toned down to more closely resemble real soccer, right? Like you don't have random stage hazards, you don't have like a crazy amount of violence and stuff like that. Like it's been toned down to more like accurately reflect the sport and be more skill based. I feel like I don't think there is a problem with that, and I've played the game a lot, and honestly, I feel like the game is more well balanced than Charged is. I haven't played enough of the original to really say if I prefer the original or not, but my my inclination is to say like Battle League is the best game in the series.
To me, they're boring sims. I love the Mario sports games because of all the wacky stuff. And it's almost like you're trying to tone that stuff down for some reason. Now, with many of these Nintendo sports games lately, the focus tends to be more and more increasingly going towards online play. And that's where this game.
Remember when these same people were bitching about Nintendo games not having online play? Like remember 3D World's original release? Remember like Nintendo Land? Remember like all of that? And now they're bitching about like Nintendo putting too much emphasis on online play. Like that's a joke.
Really shines in terms of this whole lacking of content theme. Offline, you can have a full game, 8 players, right, on one console, which I was surprised when they announced that. Thought it was really cool, but online, you can't even group with 4 people, get your friends together and make a full team and go up like against another team. I mean, how did that happen? Like that's one of those things that completely boggles.
Balance issues. When you have like multiple people on like one team, it they have an unfair advantage over other players, right? So it's not likely you would play other people online and have them have 4 players as well. It's just not really a thing.
The mind, especially for just like a player match. Because I could see perhaps the argument being it may be hard to find like another full team to always play against. Like if you have 4, finding another full team of 4. But in the basic like quick match stuff, who cares if you're playing against like 2 other players, controlling their whole team? If we're not talking about a ranked game. In a lot of ways, I think having less actual players on your team can be a benefit because it's easier to time like your passing and shooting in that. Yeah, however you slice it, that just feels like a huge monumental miss. And then, of course, the actual online play itself. Once more, this is a Nintendo game, so not the best. It's going to be a bit of a crapshoot depending on the connection of the players you're matched up with. I had
Never
some
had
that
any
worked pretty
problems.
well and some very not so well. Again, that's just pretty much the standard for Nintendo games online.
Yeah, sure,
However,
whatever you
this
say,
game is
bro.
called Battle League, and these leagues haven't started yet, at least at the time of this recording. It's going to go live in a few days. While the league play isn't open, I have gone online. It's nice because people can set their clubs, effectively their teams, to open, so you can just join like a random open club. Once more, my fellow gamers, you don't actually have to have friends to play in this mode. So I went in there and joined one of the random clubs that it presented me with. I had a hard time, I'll be honest, deciding if I wanted to lock arms with the Pastor Baiters or 3 inches hard. But, I figured I'd just go with the one I'd probably fit in with the best. So, like, I am going to check that out when it does start. But how much is that really going to add to the game? How long is that going to be able to maintain popularity? I mean, I'm sure, again, the game just came.
It'll be like any other fighting game, right? It's going to have an indefinite sort of skill ceiling, like an indefinite like play length. Like there are going to be people who play this game for hundreds of hours. I guarantee you. Like online play is super popular.
Came out. There'll be a bunch of people playing this at the start, but as always, 3 months, 6 months, a year from now, what is the online, what is this league play going to look like? Will I maybe get some more?
This motherfucker said the same thing with Nintendo Switch Sports. You can still find games for you can still play people online in like Splatoon 1 or ARMS or Mario Tennis. Like it's not like this impossible Nintendo Switch Sports. Like it's not this insurmountable thing that he makes it out to be. He makes it sound like people just stop playing these games. Like after a certain point, after they stop being brand new, which just isn't the fucking case. Okay, that does not happen. And he's so adamant that it does happen, that it's real, that people just will just drop the game. Like people will be playing this game until the servers drop dead. That's my prediction on that.
Fun out of joining up with my 3 inches hard brethren. Yeah, I could see it, but it's certainly not going to do much to turn the rest of the issues in this game around. Yeah, again, like I'm looking for places to give this game a break, and I can't really find much. Now this is
Here's one. Like the motherfucker didn't completely forgot to mention the most important aspect, and this is what all the journalists are ignoring. This is what every YouTuber like saying the game is terrible like refuses to acknowledge. The fact is the game is fun. That's what it boils down to. The game is fun to play, and it will evolve a dedicated following who will regularly play it. And when you get right down to it, that's all you really need from a game. All of these things you complained about, they don't ruin the experience. There's nothing wrong with what they've done here. Nothing. And yet you're pretending as if this is like some major disappointment, a misstep in the world of Nintendo. No, it isn't. At the end of the day, the game is still fun.
isn't really something new for these Nintendo Switch Sports games, as I've said. And I think the reason this one seems to be getting more backlash, like so much backlash, because I wouldn't even say necessarily this is the worst of all these launches, but I think people have kind of reached the breaking point. With these games consistently.
They establish a narrative. I think it took people a while to kind of adapt to like Nintendo's new strategy, but of like the whole drip feeding thing. Because what people used to do in games like this is that they would blow through all the content in a weekend and then tell you that that's it. That's all the game there is. There's nothing left to do. Now I just have to play it. And now with like the change in like general design and like the way you experience these games, like these people are trying to like complain about the changes as well.
At least launching with little content. And not only that, it's something that's ramping up, right? We got Super Rush just last year, and Nintendo Switch Sports was just like a month ago. So it's like not only do we keep seeing the same shit over and over again, the pace that we see it at is quickening. So that's why I think we're seeing more of a turn with people. Increased criticism over some of these previous games that had similar issues, which is good. I'm glad people are coming around to this. Of course, you still got the people being like, oh, well, you gotta wait. You gotta wait for them to add the stuff you want. What, you expected to buy the game at launch for $60 and have it be a complete experience? You're so stupid. And that's the thing, that crowd, it seems like it's starting to get.
It's funny how like No Man's Sky has like a very dedicated group of people who insist the game is fixed now because of the updates. But oh, when Nintendo fixes their better game, like updates their better games with more content, that's a problem. Again, he's just trying to demonize what Nintendo is trying to do with these games.
Get thinner and thinner. And also, what's nice with the people who are pointing this stuff out, who are complaining about it, and this is the key, they're not only addressing the issues with strikers, it's being framed as this problem that is in all these Nintendo sports games. That's kind of the way I'd like to see people start seeing these games. Hopefully, with so much negativity, this will be a wake-up call to Nintendo about this practice, which I gotta say, I'm gonna go a little bit into conspiracy theorist mode.
Oh
Because the
no.
reason I still had faith before this game released, because, again, I'm one of these people that have been kind of complaining about these games launching with a lack of content, bare bones, I usually say. I had faith in this game because it was being developed by Next Level Games. Obviously, they're the ones who did the original Strikers games on Wii, so this is their bread and butter. But also, because a lot
Luigi's Mansion 3 had a DLC and like updates as well.
of times with these revivals, you might think, oh, that was a long time ago. Maybe this studio isn't on their game anymore. but they just put out probably their best game to date, Luigi's Mansion 3. To me, one of the absolute best games on the Nintendo Switch, and this is a system with a lot of great games. And if you want to talk about the amount of content, I mean, that game's got all kinds of crazy multiplayer modes in that. Not even stuff that I'd expect out of Luigi's Mansion. Additional content that actually feels like a bonus. You'd figure they'd knock this out of the park. And it not only has these specifically content problems, but they're the same as all these other games. Like, something is going on here. I don't know what Nintendo is saying. Like, maybe they're telling these developers, like, hey, you're going to have free updates ready at the 2-month point, 4-month point, 6 months, etc. And that's causing these devs to like hold stuff back. Or maybe they're just not getting the resources and the time that they need to have these games ready for launch. To be clear, I'm not trying to make an excuse for the quality of the games, but when you've got this happening to so many titles that are, obviously being developed by different teams, you gotta wonder, like, what is going on here? All these games don't just have these same problems as a coincidence. But yeah, whatever is going on, I hope they stop it. Again, maybe with so many people criticizing this game so heavily, they will. Because yeah, it's not working, and people are certainly getting more and more.
It's not working? Is this guy serious?
Let me know your thoughts on Mario Strikers Battle League.
Doing the updates this way gives Nintendo marketing material for these games like for months going forward. Like people are going to be hearing about like the updates to Strikers months from now, right? We're going to be getting new characters out the wazoo. We're going to get like all these changes to the game, and people who are into the game, who are excited, who are legitimately like enthusiastic about Battle League are going to be all over that stuff. But it's like this idea that like this method doesn't work is like a farce. Like there's no real evidence for it. There's no real suggestions. Like basically what it amounts to is like you have a bunch of people making angry YouTube videos about it. And when you get right down to it, those people don't matter for shit. All right. I think that's it.
In the comments, are you currently playing the game? Are you disappointed in it? Do you think
I think you need to get a real job.
Add enough stuff down the line to make the purchase worth it? As always, I'm the guy, Johnny Zakari.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks for watching.
All right, I think that's it. I think that's all I really needed to say. What a piece of shit. Like, I am sick of this guy and his just, like, rambling about, like, oh, man, there's problems at Nintendo? No, I don't think so. Oops, hang on. Oh, whoops. This fucker? Oh, yeah, I hate that fucker even more. Okay, so yeah, that was ChiGuy's video. What a complete joke. Mario Strikers is great, and you should check it out.